All right, so what I'm going to try and do here is provide you with some resonance demonstrations so I can give you examples of this concept of resonance, which is all around us even when we speak. So the first demonstration is this, I gotta change the angle of the camera for each of my demonstrations. Oops, sorry about that with the finger. All right, so the first demonstration is this little device here that I have clamped to a desktop. And if you remember that the idea of resonance is that there is a particular frequency that fits for a given situation, these devices that are on this PVC pipe are referred to as inverted pendulums because they don't swing this way, they swing from the top. Now, each pendulum has its own frequency that it swings at based upon its length. So you can see we got 3 different lengths here, but we have matching ones on each side of the PVC pipe. Now, the idea of resonance here is that when I pluck one of these inverted pendulums, those vibrations pass through the base PVC pipe and they start to wiggle this entire device at that particular frequency. But on the other side, the only other pendulum that can respond is the one that vibrates at that same rate. So for example, if I take the long one here and I pluck it and just let it wiggle back and forth, you'll notice that this one starts to respond because of that. Now, all these others, they are trying to wiggle, but they don't wiggle as vigorously as this other one that matches the same length as the one with the red tip. Now, if I take this one here that has the little die tip to it and pluck it, you'll notice that the one on the other side is the one that ends up responding to it, and the others, they try, but their swinging or vibration isn't in sync with the vibration of this one, and so it doesn't build up to anything larger. And then the small one here, okay, so this is a demonstrator of the idea of resonance. All right, now I'm going to have to adjust the camera angle again to show you this next one, and hopefully I'm on camera as I do this. The next demonstration I have for resonance is kind of like that one, but in reverse. And in fact, I'm going to slide this out of the way so that you can get a better view. This actually has my golf ball pendulums. And the challenge on this one is to make these pendulums swing simply by twisting the PVC pipe clockwise and counterclockwise. Now, I already mentioned earlier that pendulums swing at a specific rate determined by their length. So you can see here that the short one has that particular rate of swinging. The next one is slower, and the longest one is the slowest. So now if I am going to make one of these swing simply by twisting the PVC pipe back and forth, I need to match the rate that this naturally swings at. So for example, I'm going to target the middle one. So that means I need to rotate this back and forth at the rate that matches the swinging rate of just that particular pendulum. Now, you'll notice that its swing is getting bigger and bigger. The others are trying to, but because my rate of twisting is not in sync with their natural frequency, their swings don't end up building up to anything. Now, if I want to, if I target the shorter one, I just need to move this back and forth at a slightly quicker rate until I find the rate that it matches that short one, and you see that the yellow one died out, and the white one is going to town here now. Okay? And if I wanted to target the long one, this one, I need to slow it down, but you'll notice that it's growing because I'm adding little pulses at just the right rate, but the other ones have died out. So this is another device to give a demonstration of what resonance is. That in order for waves to be effective in a given situation, they need to match a natural frequency that something would vibrate at. Now this is very critical with musical devices. So I'm going to have to kind of change the angle again so you can maybe see this. And I have no idea where I'm going to be in the picture. So you may not see my head, you'll just have to listen to the explanation here. These long tubes are referred to as boom whackers. And this is kind of a simulation of a musical instrument. You'll notice that they are different lengths, and hopefully you can pick up on this in the sound. If I speak into the long one, my voice sounds deeper, or my lower frequency waves in my voice are emphasized. If I get the middle one and I speak into it, I have a different set of frequencies that are emphasized or amplified. And if I talk into the shortest one, I have higher frequencies that are emphasized. So literally, each of these is designed to play, at least on the musical scale, a C note. But there are multiple C notes that are of different frequencies. So for example, the way that you activate these is you just tap them on a surface. So you can hear that core tone that comes out of it would be the note that this long one plays. Now if I move to the mid-range one, you get a different higher frequency tone, and if we do the short one, you get a higher note that's emphasized. Now they're not super loud, but the idea here is that I am doing the same thing, I guess you could say, as the musician. I'm just tapping this, but because of the different lengths of the tubes, I am getting different notes out of the instrument. Now my last demonstration, I like this one the best, but it's the tallest, so I'm going to have to come back up here. All right. I hope this fits in there. And I'm going to scoot back to give it more room. This is my instrument here, the aluminum rod. And this aluminum rod, it's kind of like a bell. But to activate it, I'm going to use a hammer. So that when I hold this and tap it, I get a sound. Now it doesn't stay around for long and then it disappears, but the idea is that by hitting this aluminum rod with the hammer, I am creating a multitude of vibrations. But the only ones that can exist on here are the ones that fit. Now the way that you make this fit, because the simulation here, I guess you could make this analogy to a guitar player holding or pinching the guitar string at specific spots. Flute players or clarinet or saxophone players, controlling the keys. But you'll notice that I have specific places marked here. Now, this allows for certain frequencies to fit on here, and you get a much different result compared to this. So, first I'm going to hold it in the middle and tap. Now that what you hear is a note. And that is because I am filtering out of all the random vibrations caused by the hammer, I'm filtering out every one of them except the one that fits with my finger being right here. Now to stop this, I can just grab the top or an end because that's where most of the vibration happens. Now, I can change the note that gets played on this by changing where I put my finger. So if I come here, we get a much higher frequency note. Now, if I go back and pinch in the middle, it goes away because that note doesn't fit with where we were down here. But I can pinch, you'll notice I have a corresponding spot down here. I could pinch here because these two spots kind of correspond to the same note. So whether I pinch at one or the other, I am good to go. Now you'll notice that I have other ones. Now this is much more impressive when you're here because I use multiple fingers here. And I usually smack this really loud with the hammer, so it's awesome. If we go here, I don't know if you can pick that one up or not, and let's try this one here. There we go. We go even higher. Now this died it out, so I'm going to tap it again. That one dies it out. So we get that right there. So you can see that as a musician, if my job is to hit this with the hammer, it's not necessarily the hitting with the hammer, which is like plucking a string on a guitar. It's where do you pinch the string or hold this vibrating rod that determines what note it plays. Now, in a similar way, and this kind of goes back to the boom whacker tubes as well, your voice are like those tubes. You have vocal cords that vibrate, and you can control those vibrations by changing the tension on your vocal cords. But all of those vibrations resonate inside your empty cavities inside your head. You have your mouth, you have your sinus cavities, you have your nasal cavity, and as a result, you have the voice that you do. And when you get sick, for example, what that does is it alters your voice generating system. For example, if you get a stuffy nose, what happens is it alters the shape of your nasal cavities because they're inflamed and you get mucus that builds up. And if you get a blocked nose, you sound, people will use the term nasally because that is a standard kind of sound effect if your nasal cavities get blocked so that the sound vibrations can't resonate through your nasal cavity. When you get sick and you get a lot of phlegm buildup on your vocal cords, people will say, you sound sick. And that's because your vocal cords now don't vibrate the way they normally do because they have extra gunk on them because you're sick. And that alters the frequency that they'll vibrate at, and it changes the nature of your voice. So those are a couple of the demonstration things and applications related to resonance that are all around us and we use every day. So hopefully that was entertaining a little bit, and thanks for watching.